This is Super Yacht News. In association with Go Earth, navigating boat buyers to better deals. Hi, welcome back to the channel. Happy Friday. Stick around to the end as well. We've got a ludicrously large Friday yacht spot in terms of the size of the vessels that are going to be in it, so stick around for that. First of all, actually speaking of ludicrously large super yachts, we're going to talk about Motor Yacht Nord. We saw a report from Moscow Times that says that the Russian billionaire's super yacht receives clearance to cruise Arctic waters. Now, of course, we're talking about Motor Yacht Nord. Nord is a absolutely massive yacht, 142 meters. The owner, Alexei Mordashov, is a Russian steel magnate, and his vessel's worth anything between $500 and $600 million. The yacht has been cleared to sail independently through the Chukchi Sea. I'm sure I've butchered that pronunciation, but there you go. And to head as far north as Wrangel Island, according to a Telegram channel that monitors the Arctic activity. Now, generally, pleasure vessels don't go into these areas, obviously because of the melting ice in these areas. It's made it more possible for these vessels to go there. Well, of course, you have to have certain types of vessel to go into these areas. Now, the first thing that comes to mind when people talk about vessels going near ice is that the hull needs to be ice class. Nord has an ice class hull. We believe it's an A1 ice class hull, which certainly means that it can go into areas where there is loose ice. It does not mean it's an icebreaker. There's a very different thing there. It basically means it has a double walled hull to make it more safe for those areas, thicker steel as well. But that's not the only thing that you need to have before you go into these areas. First of all, you have to have a crew that's trained in operating in these areas. It's extremely cold, right? The crew needs special qualifications to go there. The ship also needs other things other than an ice class hull. Every door handle or winds, the screens on the bridge, the windows on the bridge, they need to be heated. The door handles need to be heated. Everything that can freeze will freeze, and they all need to be specially adapted for those freezing conditions. And of course, going into those, the reason why you need permission to go into these areas is because you need to think about pollution, things like that. It's a bit like going to the Galapagos Islands. You have to do all of these preventative things, clean the hull, all that kind of stuff. I don't know whether they have to do that here. I would imagine they would have to. But they were granted this by the Russian federal agency, issued them the permit in July. So I'm not sure how much, they'll actually do in preparation. Hopefully they will have some standards there. But yeah, that vessel's going to be heading up that way. Now, obviously, Nord is owned by somebody who's on the sanctions list. He's very pro supporting it, and he's making a lot of money from various companies that he has that are making money from that war in Ukraine. His vessel fled to Vladivostok in 2022 when all these vessels started to get seized. That's why the vessel's now Russian flagged. It lost its flag state. Went up to Vladivostok, stayed there for a while. It's actually in that area right now, and it's only gone into the Indian Ocean, and then it's kind of disappeared from there, turned off the AIS, and then gone to the Maldives instead of Seychelles. More recent times, they've actually been broadcasting AIS whilst in the Seychelles. Maybe the Seychelles authorities told them that they had to, but then they switch off again as soon as they leave. But when they're on the other side of Singapore and the Chinese Sea and around that area and up by Russia, then obviously they broadcast normally. Anyway, we'll move on to our next story. We've got some photographs here. Remember in a previous video, we talked about a fire on a yacht in Saint-Tropez, and it looked like the fire started on the bridge, and that vessel is completely destroyed now, I think. I don't think that's repairable. The vessel's partially sunk in its berth in Saint-Tropez, as you can see from these photographs that were posted by the Port Authority. And you can see that the pollution boom is in the water, done its job very well, prevented all of that stuff, nasty stuff, oil and the stuff they use to put out the fire. and all of that stuff has been kept in that area. Now, they closed the port for a few days afterwards. The reason why they closed it really is because the wake of yachts coming in and out can disturb that boom, you know, and cause water to splash over and to cause the boom to, you know, maybe collapse and allow some of that pollution to get out into the water. So they closed the area to other shipping, but it's been reopened. I think the 12th of July it reopened. But it's just interesting to look at these photographs of this vessel that's partially sunk. Probably the reason was because of the amount of water that they put inside the vessel to put the fire out. That's normally what happens here. I just wanted to show you these photos to show you how quickly that fire spread inside the yacht. As far as we know, there were no injuries, which is great. It was a very busy area. But yeah, luckily they were docked in the marina, right? So they were just able to walk off the passerelle and onto the hard and allow the firefighters to get up close, as you can see in this video footage here from the night, where the firefighters were spraying water inside of the yacht. All right, we'll move on. Now, we've got a curious thing here. We got a letter from Azimut Benetti. Azimut owns Benetti, so they call themselves Azimut Benetti. Now, in the letter, they were complaining about a video that we did recently about luminosity in Montenegro. We said that the vessel was rotting away in Montenegro. We've got some video footage here of a super yacht called Luminosity. Now, this vessel has been detained in Montenegro since 2022, and probably because of the lack of crew on board. I mean, like I said, a 5 or 6 caretaker crew on a yacht like this, who are probably not getting paid very often, they're not going to do the best job in looking after a vessel, and it really shows. They sent us a letter which, amongst other things, it said that this video contains false statements and confidential information, and its online dissemination may cause serious harm to our shipyard, as well as both the former and the current yacht owner, especially considering the high value of the vessel. And they basically said, if you don't pull the video, that we're going to, there was a threat or an insinuation of legal action, although those words weren't used. We get these all the time, and it's frustrating because, well, first of all, they neglected to say what was false information in the video, and the confidential information. It's not illegal to say something that was previously confidential, right? It was a weird letter in general. Also, we never even mentioned the previous owner, and that got me thinking, because we actually talked to other, content creators. They'd had a similar letter, and I have a feeling they just copy pasted that letter and sent it to us, because another person who sent us a video and said, what, do you see anything wrong with this? They'd mentioned the previous owner, and here they are saying that something damaged about the previous owner. We never even mentioned him, so that's weird. Also, we never mentioned Benetti in that video either. We never even mentioned the name of the yacht builder. The thing is, the story, which was about the condition of the vessel, because it's been left in Montenegro, it's not manned by a proper crew. It's got a skeleton crew on board. There's been problems with the payment of the crew that do work there. But we've spoken to former temporary crew, skeleton crew, that haven't been paid for months at a time. So they're less likely to try to keep a boat in good condition. Plus, a yacht that size probably has a crew of 35 normally, and there's probably 5 or 6 crew on board right now, which is what the skeleton crew was like about 18 months ago, the last time we spoke to somebody who'd been part of that crew. As a result of the neglect, the vessel is in a poor condition, right? It's not as a result of where it was built. If you took a Lursen or a Amels or Fedship or whatever boat, if you took any boat and put it in that position and left it for 3 years, it would look like that. If I bought a Rolls Royce, one of the finest motor cars you can buy, and I parked it in a field for 3 years, it would look something like that yacht would. It would have bird poop all over it. It would have rust on it. It would have, the interior would be nasty. It would be covered in crap. That's no reflection of the builder. It's a reflection of the conditions that the vessel is in, right? Now, one of the things we did say in that video is that the person who bought the yacht, Andrei Guriev, he never stepped foot on board. Now, that was actually incorrect. Maybe that's what they were talking about, false information. He actually did go on board for the sea trials before he agreed to buy the yacht, or we're told by somebody who used to work there. And so we went on board. I don't know whether it was for one day or it was an overnight, but it was for a sea trial. So we went on board, and so that ticket to ride cost him 260 million euros or thereabouts. Now, speaking of multi-yacht luminosity, we've got some new video footage in of the yacht in Montenegro right now. Now, like I said, we've not had any video footage for years of this yacht. We've wanted to get it, and then we've had 2 lots of it in recent weeks. So if we look at this drone footage here, you can see the conditions of the yacht. It's clearly not being washed down at all. Whichever skeleton crew is on board, they're probably engineering a skeleton crew, just to maintain the batteries and the engines and stuff. Whether they're doing any of that, I don't know. The vessel's connected to the shore connection, as you can see. You can see the cables on the stern connected to the shore connection, but you can see that padding's been put down on the swim platform to protect it, and then you can see it's all moved around and nobody's fixed it. So even the basic stuff's not being done. So all of that protection is all pushed over to one side and stuff. And you can see that the vessel's generally in very poor condition. Like I said, not a reflection of the builder, reflection of the neglect of the vessel, that it's not being looked after properly, right? So yeah, it looks absolutely terrible. You can see it on the aft deck as well, the sun deck, if you like. I think it's probably the sun deck. You can see there's big cracks appeared in. It's supposed to be teak. I don't think it is. I think it's some sort of material that resembles teak that's been laid down and it's cracked and lifted. Either that or something very heavy has hit that teak and cracked it. I don't think that's the case. To me, it looks like it's like a thick material, that's got lines in it to look like teak, and it's cracked and lifted. That's what I think it is. But that's clearly from exposure to sun and then rain and then whatever conditions they have there. So yeah, it's absolutely terrible condition. Now, one of the things that these companies do, and I'm not saying that Azimut, Benetti are doing this, but we've had so many of these letters over the years, and one of the things they do, and it's actually got a name in the UK, they call it SLAP, Selective Litigation Against Public Participation, and it's effectively using law firms to scare people to take down things online with the threat or the implication of using legal action against you, to sue you, to sue you to because they say in the thing that it's harming their company, and they'll look to seek to recover any monies lost by this defamation or whatever. I don't think they use the word defamation, but this is what they're talking about, and it's a threat of a lawsuit to try and shut you up. But like I said, it's a big super yacht. People tend to notice them when they see them. We talked about the condition. We never said anything bad about Benetti. I happen to like Benetti yachts. It's not against them at all. It's just against what's happening with that vessel. So, but like I said, a lot of companies, we've had a lot of them over the years. We had one just a couple of weeks ago from a yacht management company, which we mentioned, trying to threaten us to shut us up, and it's just a thing that we have to deal with. But it's a frustration because for whatever reason they're trying to scare us into it, and other content creators as well. So yeah, it's just a shame. Anyway, I'll move on from that now. Moving on to Friday Yotspot. Like I said, ludicrously large Friday Yotspot. We've got some cracking video footage here of different yachts. This first one is MotorYacht Flying Fox, and this is from Nicholas. I didn't catch his last name, from Australia. No intro needed for this vessel. 136 meters, 460 feet. Flying Fox, built by Lurson, I believe in 2018. Recently sold, was owned by Dmitry Kemenchek, who's the owner of Moscow Airport, amongst other things. Recently sold it to someone from the UAE, we believe, and hence the vessel's now back in Europe. We believe this footage is from Olbia, or the area in Sardinia, not Sicily, but Sardinia, because it's been there recently. And also the next, another yacht that we're going to look at was also in that area, and it was taken by the same person. Now this is in order of size, by the way. That's the small yacht, 136 meters. Next yacht on the list is motor yacht Dragonfly, and this vessel is 142 meters, 465 feet, top speed of 24 knots. Very impressive for a big yacht. Built by Lursen again, of course, 2024 completion date. The gross tonnage, by the way, sorry, I neglected to mention, because we're measuring by gross tonnage here. Flying Fox, 9,100 gross tons. This vessel is 9,408 gross tons, and with a value of, I also forgot to mention the value of Flying Fox, which is 400 million. The value of Dragonfly is $450 million. So we'll move on. Next yacht on the list, motor yacht Luminance. This is also in Sardinia, actually, in Port Rotundo. This was sent in by Adam Hoffman, so thanks, Adam, for sending this in. Owner of this vessel is a Ukrainian billionaire, Rinat Akhmetov, the wealthiest man in Ukraine. And before anyone says it, he was already the wealthiest man in Ukraine before the war started. So, because you always get someone saying that it's all the money that the US gave to Ukraine. By the way, for those people who say that stuff, Europe gave a lot of money to Ukraine, and they still do as well. So, anyway, 138 meters in length. This vessel is 452 feet, 2024 build. It can carry 40 guests. Although both international list the crew as 24, I can guarantee you that is not 24 crew on that boat. It's probably double that as a yacht of that size. Gross tonnage of 9,861 tons, top speed of 20 knots, and a value of $500 million. So, like I said, 9,861 tons. So we're getting dangerously close to 10,000 gross tons. The next yacht, the largest yacht in this Friday Yotspot, is Motor Yacht Blue. Again, Nicholas from Australia sent this in. This is 160 meters in length, or 524 feet. The gross tonnage of this vessel, 15,320 gross tons, making her one of the top 3 largest yachts in the world by volume. Built in 2022, top speed of 20 knots, which is impressive for a big yacht. And its value is $600 million. And the owner of this one is Sheikh Mansour from Abu Dhabi. So yeah, that's the biggest yacht that we've featured in a while on this channel. So yeah, thanks to everyone who sent that in, much appreciated. We've got a load of Yotspot stuff coming in, so we'll do another one next week. So anyway, guys, I'll leave it there. Join us on patreon.com/eSysman. Got loads of footage on there. We've got a video going live. I think I said this in the last one. We've got a video going live, a life raft demonstration video, which I filmed recently while I was on a ferry coming back from Sicily. And we've got loads of other videos on there too. So check it out, patreon.com/eSysman. If you've got any information for us or any photos or videos, you can send it to us in these links. Email for the info and the WeTransfer for anything else of large sizes. All right, guys, I'll leave it there. Whatever you're doing this weekend, if you're on a yacht, I'm jealous. Yeah, enjoy it. Go and stand out first thing in the morning and look out at the horizon. My favorite thing to do is to go up to the bridge first thing and go out and stand out on the bridge wing and just look out at the horizon and have a bit of peace before the crazy day starts. So if you're not on a yacht, also have a great one. If you see any interesting vessels, be sure to send them to us. Anyway, guys, I'll leave it there. I hope you have a great weekend, and I'll speak to you next week. Bye-bye.